What's for dinner? Hey everyone, I'm Chef Zee and welcome back to my channel, Chef Zee Cooks. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a classic mofongo. And yes, you heard that correctly. The #1 most requested recipe here on my channel is finally coming to you live and in charge. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, mofongo is life. It is mashed green plantains mixed with some crispy pork chicharrone, which is out of this world. Now, shout out to all the Puerto Ricans and all the Boricuas out there, because I know that you guys go super crazy for this amazing dish. Now, do keep in mind that there's a ton of different ways of making mofongo, and today I'm going to be showing you the way that I like to make it, along with some tips and tricks along the way that can help you master this absolute deliciousness. Let's go ahead and get started.
Making mofongo is actually pretty easy, and you only need a few ingredients, and the great thing about this dish is that you can honestly customize it however you want. So first things first, we're going to make our garlic mojo, or our garlic sauce, which is really important whenever you're making mofongo, because this is going to give your mofongo some really nice flavor. So I take some mashed garlic and I add about ½ teaspoon of salt, but you can add more or less, it's totally up to you. And then I add warm olive oil and I let it sit. Now hear me out. You don't have to warm up the oil. The reason I like to warm it up is because I find the taste of raw garlic to be a little bit too strong. So warming up the olive oil really helps infuse the olive oil with that garlic flavor, and it takes out that little bit of bite that raw garlic tends to have. We're now going to prepare our onions, which I love to add at the very end whenever I'm having some mofongo. And all I do is add about ¼ cup of white distilled vinegar, along with ½ teaspoon of some kosher salt. I mix it together and then I let it sit for about 5 minutes. And then afterwards, I like to go ahead and I like to saute it to really bring out all those awesome flavors. So all you're going to want to do is take some oil and warm it up over medium heat, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to add the onions that have been sitting in the vinegar, slightly pickling the onions, and we're going to saute them for no more than 3 to 5 minutes. So pretty much what you want is you want the onions to start to soften, but I always like them to keep a little bit of their shape. Now, whenever you're having mofongo, it's really important that you have some kind of sauce, whether it's some leftover sauce from like some pollo guisado or carne guisada. For me, I love adding these onions, but it's totally optional. We're now going to start peeling our plantains. Now, if you're a friend of the channel, then you have seen me peel green plantains a million times. And honestly, what you want to do is you want to take a small knife or any knife that feels really comfortable in your hand, and using the tip of the knife, we're going to create slits in the skin of the plátano. Now, the skin of the plátano is actually pretty hard, but creating these slits makes it really easy for the skin to pop off, just like you have right here. Now, do note that depending on the type of green plantain that you'll get, some may ooze out a little sticky film and others might be a little bit more dry. So once you've popped off the first half of the skin, we're going to go ahead and repeat this by creating a slit and then going with our fingers and popping off the skin. Now, everyone has their own way of peeling plantains. I know some people like to peel them under cold water because it makes it easier and it prevents your hands from actually staining a little dark if you have one of the plantains that has the sticky film. So once we've removed the skin, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna clean it up, because sometimes the inner parts of the skin leaves a little bit on the actual plantain. So you just wanna remove that, because otherwise when you fry them up, they will fry up a little black. We're now going to cut our plátano into about 1-inch pieces, and we're going to set them over into a mixing bowl. Now, if it's going to take you a while to fry up the plantains, then I recommend that you submerge them in cold water with a little bit of salt, just so that they don't oxidize, and when they fry, they'll also fry up really nice and golden. So we're gonna add the plantains into the oil, which I have warming up over medium heat. Now the trick to frying up the plátanos is to fry them up slow and steady. You don't want to fry them over super high heat because then you'll burn the outside without actually cooking the inside. And it's really important when you're making mofongo to actually cook the plátano all the way through, because we're going to be mashing them and we want them to be nice and soft throughout. When you undercook plátano, they tend to be a little bit drier, which is not a good thing whenever you are making this dish. So once we have fried up all of the plátanos, we're now going to make our mofongo. So we're going to take our mortar and pestle that we use to actually mash up the garlic, and we're going to add the plátanos, we're going to add our garlic sauce, and we're going to add some crispy pork chicharrones, which I went ahead and I diced up. Now, if you don't have any chicharrones, that's totally fine. You can actually omit them, or you can use any leftover meat that you have at home and it becomes a mofongo to your liking. So if you want to add chicken, you can go ahead and do that. We're now going to go ahead and we're going to mash everything together, and we're going to layer some flavors. So we're going to add some more plátano, some more garlic sauce, and some more chicharrones until we have created a super compacted mashed mofongo. Now, as I mentioned before, it's really important that you cook your plátanos all the way through, because you definitely want them to mash really nicely so that it holds everything together. And you also don't want to be cheap when it comes to that garlic sauce, because it's going to give it so much flavor, and that oil is also going to help your mofongo stay together. Now, if you're interested in the pilon that I have here, which is the mortar and pestle, I'll be sure and link it down below. So once you finish mashing your mofongo, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take a butter knife, and we're just going to very gently just nudge the plátano from the sides of the pilon, just to make sure that it comes out really nice and beautiful, just like you see here. So there you guys have it. That's my recipe for a mofongo. I like to go in at the very end and add the sauce from the onions. Comment down below if you have any questions, and until next week, I'm Chef Zee, y buen provecho.
Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Now comment down below and let me know what's your favorite type of mofongo. Is it a chicken mofongo? Is it a shrimp mofongo? Trust me, there's so many different variations. Like always, don't forget to subscribe and join the Chef Zee family. And if you need some inspiration on what to cook next, go ahead and click right here.